Ladies and gents, how you doing? I called this one right, didn't I? I screen capped that. The second the detestable organisation that we know as the BBC posted it, knowing that they'd quickly delete it as soon as the general public read it. But yeah, that was what they went with. That was what they went with in response to the callous, ridiculously cruel, needless murder of that young kid in France who was doing a noble thing and attempting to defend, innocent women that were going to clearly be accosted by a bunch of violent communists and their fighting age foreign male allies, right? And he got kicked to death. And the BBC went with that headline: 9 arrested in France over death of far-right student. Yeah, that's what he is. He's a far-right student because he thinks women don't deserve to get fingered on the walk to work. It's unbelievable. As I said here, and as I've said many times, the BBC is such an embarrassment, a global embarrassment, that I don't just want to see the BBC licence fee done away with. I wouldn't be happy with that. I'm nowhere near satisfied if they merely get shot of the licence fee. I want them to defund the entire organisation and then bulldoze Broadcasting House, preferably when Match of the Day is going out live. And then obviously, we salt the earth, build a multi-storey car park on it, and then deny that it ever existed. BBC? Well, never heard of her. Anyway, that's what they quickly changed it to. I caught them red-handed, so now you know. Shall we read the story just to see what shameful slant they put on it? Why not? I've got nothing else to do today. Well, other than pour a couple of jerry cans of diesel into the Broadcasting House bulldozer fleet I've requisitioned for the task. Right, here we go then. The bulldozers will have to wait till I at least finish this story. We don't want the power going out quite yet. They went with student death puts French far left under pressure, from Hugh Schofield. Hugh. Is there anyone called Dave or John who works for the BBC? Hugh Schofield. I wonder if he's a relative of Phil's. Diddler Phil. Oh, let's not talk about the diddlers. They don't like it on this platform when you discuss them too frequently. France's radical left is under pressure after the killing of a student in Lyon was blamed on anti-fascist militants. Blamed on them. Who was it then? Local bus driver. It's all on video. The BBC won't tell you this. Not only is it all on video, we know who it was. They've already arrested a load of them, and one of them has links to the French government. But we'll get to that when the BBC inevitably refuse to cover it. So we'll get to that. Quentin Deranque, a 23-year-old maths student and national activist, died on Saturday, 2 days after being beaten up on the street by a group of young men. No, kicked to death by a gang of angry communists. Tolerant, progressive, decent, noble, sophisticated, left-wing intelligentsia, if you ask the people that work at the BBC. Off the record. State prosecutor Thierry Dran told a news conference on Monday that a murder investigation has been opened. As I said, they have since caught them and we know what their political opinions are. He said that Deranque was kicked and punched by at least 6 individuals and the autopsy showed fatal damage to his skull and brain. Kicked to death by communist radicals. That's what happened. Credit to the French Justice Minister, Gerald Darmanin, because he actually said, it's the far left that killed him. Of that, there is no question. Well, you wouldn't have thought that from the original headline, would you? No, because the BBC are wankers. May my tongue turn black. The BBC is that bad. They're making me praise a Frenchman. I never thought I'd see the day. Honestly, I thought I'd be more likely to send Ian Huntley a Christmas card than say anything nice about a French politician. But that's what the BBC have forced me into. Friends told French media Deranque had rediscovered his Catholic faith in recent years and was active in nationalist politics. So what? Is that a reason for it to happen or something? Sounds like you're trying to make excuses for them, BBC. Alice Cordier of Nemesis. Nemesis is this sort of militant feminist organisation that the BBC have smeared and called far-right fascist feminist organisation. Yeah, because there's loads of them, isn't there? No, normal old-school feminists who don't think 6'5" builders called Alan should be able to put a frock on 2 days before they go to court for multiple sexual assaults, insist they're a woman, and then get sent into an all-female prison so they can have a rollicking good time. horsing one into the women that were unlucky enough to end up in a cell with him. That's all they are. They're not militant. They're what we call, judging by opinion polling, they're what we call normal women. Okay? Controversial opinion, that. Not wanting to get rogered by a big geezer when you're supposed to be nice and safe in your cell with a little fat woman called Sandra. Yeah, that's dead weird, that, apparently. Also, which I didn't tell you, multiple women did get beaten up prior to this event. He's took all the headlines away because he got killed, murdered. But multiple women were beaten up by these violent communists. And Alice Cordier is one of them, I think. She said he was one of 15 or so young lads who had asked to provide protection, and they're not a professional security service. They were just friends who came to protect the girls because the government won't do it for them. Here's the funny bit. On Sunday, Mélenchon said his party had nothing to do with this story. Those who accuse us are committing a libel. Oh, really? Well, then let's have a look at who got arrested, shall we? Because they've just nicked 9 of them. Let's see if they've got any government connections, shall we? 9 people have been arrested in France following an investigation into the murder of a far-right nationalist student, a normal young lad who doesn't like seeing women get punched in the face by communists, by suspected militants. Those detained include a parliamentary assistant for a deputy from the radical left France Unbowed party. He was a 23-year-old maths student, not a skinhead. The arrests confirm what has been widely reported. Those suspected of the murder are far-left militants linked to a banned group called the Young Guard. Most striking news is that among the 9 in custody is Jacques-Élie Favreau, a young man who until now was employed as a parliamentary assistant at the National Assembly in Paris for a deputy from the LFI. And the LFI, if you didn't know, have 70 MPs, and on its veteran leader, Jean-Luc Mélenchon, who is a likely contender in next year's presidential election. Oh, really? Jean-Luc Mélenchon? Where have I heard that name before? Oh, yeah. 3 days ago, he said his party had absolutely nothing to do with the story, and anyone who said there was committing a libel. Brilliant. I think we'll call it there. Lads. Mr Melenchon's involved, his party's involved, and just like in the UK, France is ruled with an iron fist by brazenly dishonest, despicable people, the lowest dregs of humanity. You think David Lammy's bad? As far as I'm aware, he's never had links to anyone getting kicked to death. So that's who Mr Melenchon is. Oh, hang on. I've committed libel there, haven't I? No, I haven't committed libel. Because he's a lying sack of rats, just like the left in this country, your country, and every other country on planet Earth, because the tolerant progressive people, the decent people, the nice people, are stone-cold killers plenty of the time. Not all of them, but a significant minority of them. Thanks to the last 10 years, ever since Trump came down those stairs, it's the same story that Peter Hitchens talked about with the COVID pandemic response. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. The moment Trump announced his candidacy and came down the escalator, the world went mad. They embarked on a 10-year propaganda campaign using the military, as we all know. Tobias El Twat and all of his friends in the UK did it. They used military-grade conditioning and propaganda to basically turn tens of millions of people who used to be merely liberal, to turn tens of millions of them into the Foot Clan, little purple ninjas that used to work for Shredder. That's what they've turned them into. That's why they laugh when the President of the United States got shot. That's why they chuckled and partied in the streets when Charlie Kirk got murdered, shot in the throat in front of his wife and kids. 10 million people in this country found that funny. This is a global problem now. They spent 10 years propagandizing the masses, and as a result, we have an extremely violent, pro-murder, far left, and about 10 million people who tacitly endorse what they do. That's how bad it's got. And you know for a fact that what I'm telling you is true. I got a taxi, an Uber, the same day someone tried to kill Trump. And the taxi driver was like, oh yeah, he deserved it. I'm just upset they missed. This isn't normal. These people are unhinged. And it's almost not their fault. You can't really blame them if the globalist sociopaths engaged in a propaganda campaign. I mean, you can strongly dislike them, but it's almost not their fault. It's the fault of the psychopaths that run the world with an iron fist these days. But be under no illusions. Millions and millions of our foes, those we call woke, sounds almost jokey and jovial, doesn't it, calling someone woke? No, millions and millions of them want to hurt you. And if you got kicked to death in the street, they would laugh about it. They might not say so in public, but all the staff at the BBC and all the people who work at The Guardian, the high priests of the woke cult, they get a little bit of blood in it every time someone like that poor young lad gets kicked to death in the street. That's a fact. And they call us the hateful ones. Anyway, that's just my opinion. If you disagree and you think the tolerant, progressive, loving left definitely don't party in the streets when people like Charlie Kirk get murdered in cold blood, let me know in a comment, because you've clearly got no eyeballs. And, I want to know how a Braille keyboard works. All right, thanks for tuning in. See you all tomorrow. Toodle pip. Cheers.